guys. This is the East Coast Bowhunting Podcast, chilling here in the Slayer Studio in Coventry, Connecticut, hiding in the mountains of God's heaven. So today, we're brought to you by Shabin Brewery, Connecticut's finest craft beer in Wolcott, Connecticut. 100 Demons, East Coast hardcore music known worldwide, and Trev's Euros for all your Euro mount needs. Brought to you by CT Bowhunting, Connecticut's #1 source for bow hunters. Quick little shout out to Working Class Bowhunter. This is the last time we'll shout you out, but we'll keep you in mind as always. Thank you, Kurt Geyer, for getting us up and rolling. So today we're here, as every other day, to strive for education, evolution, and entertainment. My name is your boy, D-Rock Clark, joined with my homies,
Trev Berwick,
Ryan Tomlinson.
And we're coming back to you on a different subject. Way better audio this time. Sorry about the last time. Like I said, we're just first getting used to our equipment. We actually had 3 mics today. Woo!
Yeah, everyone's here.
Don't have to sit too close to Trev over here.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's good.
So-
You're starting to stink.
And hopefully everyone will take notice. We actually added music this time. It sounds pretty badass. Thanks to 100 Demons, great supporters out there. So today's topic, we're talking about preseason prep. There's some states out west already got started. I'm a little jelly, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So.
Yeah, they shot some real good deer out there already. Those nice velvet bucks. There's a lot of them being shot. It's exciting.
It's crazy. So I know everyone.
Real quick to those guys that have already shot.
Thank
bucks.
you, Shabin. So today's issue at hand, and for everyone now getting ready, it's crunch time. So everyone's talking preseason prep. Well, the time is now, and it's here, knocking at our back door. What do you think, Trev?
I'm excited. I really am. I truly am excited. There's a lot to come. But the pre-preparation,
You want to just shoot right in?
well,
I guess that's what we're doing.
I mean,
All right. Well, how's everyone like to pre-prep the season, in the preseason? I always start with a little bit of scouting. What do you guys do?
yeah, definitely the scouting. Kind of go off of the last year's things that happened throughout the season and kind of, be in the right areas at the right time. But scouting is definitely key to get started the season.
So how do you guys go about doing that? I mean, you guys hitting the woods hard, putting miles on the ground, and checking everyone out, checking the beddings or any kind of sign, or what do you guys like to get into?
Yeah, I mean, I was out putting a couple miles on today. That new property I was talking about last time, very excited about. Found some real good beds. I must have jumped 30 deer before I even got to where I wanted to go, and I actually just decided to back out. Wasn't worth pushing the deer, and eventually, once rut comes, I'll get into that spot I actually want to be. But yeah, real excited, getting the feet on the ground and ready to go.
Yeah, that's cool. What about you, Trev?
Yeah, same thing. Definitely, prepping for the season. We did those food plots and stuff, so we had to get in there kind of early and check things out and, look for game trails and where they're coming through and kind of getting that gist of that area. And we planted those food plots.
So for all the new people out there that want to get into hunting and the average veteran to the game that kind of got away from it, whether it be life-changing stuff, but they're dying to get back into the woods, how do you get prepped for the scouting? Like, do you go out, bring your cameras, set them up, or what do you guys do step by step? I mean, just for the newbies out there.
I mean, just kind of getting into the woods and looking for your sign, your droppings and scrapes, rubs, old active areas, with rub lines and stuff like that, and just kind of looking for those game trails where those deer are already crossing and being in the area, food sources like oaks and stuff like that for the acorns. Just kind of looking at the sources and kind of looking at the lay of the land with topo maps and stuff like that, like where the ridges are, where their bedding could and potentially be, and then get in there and kind of find it, search around. I mean, that starts June, July. It actually starts turkey season.
Turkey season.
Yeah, turkey
Shed
season.
season
Yeah.
even before turkeys, yep.
Yeah, and you definitely find those areas, and then come the summer is when you get in there. But I mean, there is a cutoff as to when you want to be going inside those woods too.
Right.
You don't want to be up until the day before trying to put up stands. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. You kind of want to give them some time to definitely chill out and relax. You know, less is more sometimes when it gets later in the season or the scouting season.
Right, I hear you. And you know what? It's funny because as soon as season ends, that's kind of when you start your scouting, when you're shed hunting.
Yep.
Right around March Madness or even just before.
Yep.
As soon as the snow starts to melt away. I mean,
Even when the snow is there, though.
Yep.
Dave.
Yeah.
That's
You
when
know?
you go out, you find those easy
The
to
tracks.
find
The
trails,
tracks,
the
exactly.
trails,
Tracks.
the bedding areas, they're all easy to find in that snow.
And you know those things when the snow is still on the ground, you know, and it's getting to that March time. That's something that you kind of keep in your memory bank too, as to that's more your later season hunting spots because they're in those winter modes. You know, so you save those for around the rut time. You know, they're obviously in different areas now than they will be when the snow is still on the ground at the end of the season.
Right. I wanted to go back to what you brought up earlier. Actually, you talk about the beddings. Now you know, for a newbie, I'm quite new myself. I just picked it up and did my homework and hit it hard, which I suggest to any newbie in there. But for the newbie, how do you know where they're bedding? Like, what should we look for when we're out there trying to look for sign as far as bedding, entry, food source, stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the pine groves and stuff like that, those are kind of daytime beddings that I've found, you know, in our area. And also like mountain laurels, stuff like that. And then, you know, you're looking for these big ridges where them bucks will be hanging out on the top to overlook a big area, you know, on the side of the ridges there. They'll lay down in the sun during the day and kind of bed and watch over the lay of the land. You know, I mean, what do you think, Rye?
No, I do agree to that. I mean, of course, you're going to look in your areas where there's ferns. You're going to find ferns. You'll see those matted down areas, you know, grassy areas, of course, edges of fields.
Higher up, you think?
I mean, it all depends on the vegetation. It depends on the lay of the land. I mean,
Yeah.
biggest thing I found is half the time you don't know those beds there until you walk up on them.
Right.
I mean, you could, like Trevor said, you can look at maps. You find the ridges. You'll find, you know, you look against a big rock that's in the side of the ridge, and you'll see all the leaves are just matted down because that's where a deer has been bedded.
They'll definitely sleep in some weird
absolutely.
areas.
Is it
find a
safe to
small
say that you want to kind of target bedding for the last light, so to speak, where the last light shines typically on a ridge?
Well,
Is that safe to say?
Well,
you think?
you're gonna get those does. Like this morning, I went to that area. It's probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock. They're gonna go back to their beds a little bit. You know, they're gonna lay down for a little while after feeding all morning. So it all depends on the time of day of where they're bedding. You know, they're gonna have different beds in different areas, whether they're all night, whether they're there during early morning, midday kind of thing. Like I said, the usual beds I find are after turkey hunting or walking through the woods and you just see them. You have to stumble upon them. So you do have to put those miles on your feet to find these areas. You can't do it all by just looking at the maps.
Well,
And just being aware, right? Especially turkey season. 'Cause
Absolutely.
turkeys teach you a lot.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
when you're jumping them out of bedding areas and stuff like that. And I mean, to use those bedding areas in your favor, and the reason why you want to find those bedding areas is you want to look and see from that bedding area where is a food source. So you're kind of making a map in your head, like they're going to come out of this bedding ground to head to this food. Why don't we get in between? You know, I mean, that's what you're using those bedding grounds for.
Off their trails, though.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't want to get your scent on there.
No, exactly. No,
Always remember that as, you know, a new guy or even if you've been away from the game for that long, days, just you need to kind of jump back on the bicycle, so to speak. So just be aware of everything you're doing.
We also have to be aware of water sources. Deer,
Right,
they need
yeah.
water just as much as we do.
Right.
You also got to find, if you're out in the middle of the woods and there's nothing for water, those deer are going to travel to somewhere there is water.
And especially if you you're in the deep woods. I know in Connecticut you could get deep in the timber, and then all of a sudden there's no river, no water, and then all of a sudden you run into kind of like a mucky, big.
That's it.
Not
the
a
swamps.
puddle, but like
The swamps.
yeah, swamps.
Yeah.
Even if they're clear enough, they're gonna drink that if they're thirsty. I mean, they want to get something. I mean, you just need to be aware of everything.
I mean, like one of the areas that we hunt right here in town is it's a big time mountain ridge, and they'll literally cross the road, go down to the river, and then come back over the road and come back up onto the ridge.
Right.
And you know, to go and get that
As
drink
long
of
as
water.
we
So-
shoot away from traffic, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Well, out
shoot
here,
away from
yeah,
traffic. Set up
absolutely.
on those,
It's-
those street trees. you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Watching cars drive by and then whoop.
Yeah. We don't need a Volkswagen.
Right.
Works pretty good, though.
So, Ryan, I've been meaning to ask you, since you've been working hard putting out the plots and stuff, just before getting into the plots, obviously you had your cams out to make sure you're seeing deer wherever you're going to be putting your food plot, because you need to know where the deer are coming in, leaving, and where you want to set it up before the camera and the kill spot, and then the bedding. So can you elaborate a little more on that?
Of course. So, of course, we're doing that scouting, and we didn't really hit on this, but you find those deer runs, those deer trails, you can see them, especially if it's something they're using constantly. A main run, it's just a beaten down path. And, of course, depending where you are, you may have to decipher between it's a hiking path, a mountain biking path, to deer path. But don't get me wrong, the deer will use those paths as well.
Well, the other way to determine that is a lot of the times you're going to have deer droppings.
Of course.
And going back on those droppings, when it comes to their bedding areas, some of those bedding areas that I've been into, it's like straight ammonia. It's one of the grossest things you'll ever smell in your life. I mean, when they're really living there, I mean, they're really dropping. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, there was one on Ryan's private land near his house that we went on to, and I got into the bedding ground, and it stunk so bad. I almost, I had to cover my nose. It was just burning. It was so, yeah, and there was just scat everywhere, and piss, and I mean, that's when you know where they're living. Yep. When it stinks like that,
straight up in their bathroom.
There. Yeah, exactly.
Damn,
it sounds
giving
like
the deer no privacy whatsoever. Walking right in on their bathroom. What?
Yeah,
Trev sneaking up behind me again. What the? It ain't deer season yet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I mean, of course, you find those runs. You look for rubs. You look for droppings. You look for other sign besides just the run itself. You find an area where deer are traveling. Maybe 30, 40 yards off the trail, you can see there's an acorn grove. It's all torn up. They're eating acorns. And just around there, we'll put a camera up. We'll scrape a little ground. We'll throw some a little bit of food plot mix down there, a little throw and grow, and we'll see what comes up on the camera. And usually within a day or so, we're getting actual pictures, daytime deer eating these little seedlings that are growing. They're eating the little tender grass and the clover and everything that's growing up. And we'll do 4, 5, 6, 7 of those on one property and move the cameras around to see them. And depending on what time of day they're coming in, if deer even hitting it or what it may be, and from there we'll go, okay, they've been hitting this. We'll move our cameras to different areas and we'll get those on in there. But just you got to look for that sign. Use all your senses, like Trevor's saying, sense of smell. You can hear things that you're walking around. You hear some leaves rustling. You look over. There's a deer getting up from a bed. That was twice today. I jumped deer on beds.
Right.
I heard them.
Let me stop you for a second because you're on a roll right now, and you're like full.
I usually
full
am.
pack.
I usually am. I'll branch off to everything here.
He didn't even get into that
information.
He didn't even get into that Elijah yet. I mean, come on.
I know this is only one Shabin bear, folks. Just one Shabin bear. All right, maybe 2.
I guess you can't count on the floor here.
He had 3 before you got here. We on 5.
But you're not slurring your words, so that's a good thing. And you're still like
but
on
this,
point.
Shabin Brewery is delicious beer here. We got the Irish Pale.
So the reason I stopped you is because you mentioned moving your cameras,
Correct.
And obviously you don't want to keep on checking your cameras on a daily basis or even weekly. Like you want to let it sit there maybe 2-3 weeks and then go in, check it, and if you got deer passing through, that's when you decide what you're gonna do, what your next step is. So moving the cameras. How many times have you visited your camera before you start moving the camera? So this way, that makes sense. You know what I mean? You already know they're passing there. No need for you to keep on beating the dead bush. So you just pick up your camera. How many times have you visited before you do that?
So I like to give them a minimum of 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, I'll go out and check them. If I'm getting deer activity, I'll leave it until next time. I'll check it. I just grabbed both cameras out of Shabin Brewery. I just grabbed 2 cameras out of a specific spot today because we kind of already patterned those deer. We know they're coming through 6:30 in the morning. We know we got to get in there real bright and early so we can get them around that time when they're coming up around the sunrise. So I took both those cameras out. We're going to move them to that new property that I found in the areas today, but I'm not going to put those out there until opening day because I don't want to make an excessive trip. We're going to be out there opening morning. We're going to hunt. When we come down, we'll set some cameras, and next time we hunt, we'll check them. So now,
that's thinking ahead. I like that.
So now
I like the way you think, boy.
And I mean,
go ahead. No, well, now that it's getting into hunting season, we're only going to check cameras while we're in there. There's no excessive trips going in. If we're going in, we're hunting. We're checking cameras while we're out there.
And I mean, that early season, we had a a bunch of wireless cameras. So a lot of times we didn't have to get in the woods.
Yeah, let me stop you guys right there, actually. What kind of camera? I know what camera. I mean, everyone up there can know what kind of camera Mexicans using, but I'm actually curious on what you
What
guys.
kind of camera are you
come
using
on,
then?
man.
You know,
on.
we got on the Spy Point Evos this year. We had some sales on them and stuff, so we got into them. I got mixed reviews on them. You know, I mean, I like them. They work. The cellular part of it is. But my thing is that you're spitting out $200 for this camera, and then you got to pay another $15 a month, you know? And
Each camera?
each camera.
Yes.
You know, and that
Dang. Definitely not made for a Mexican.
No.
Nope.
It's not even made for a white guy. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I mean, it's a lot of cash. You know, it's so I got my mixed reviews on it. I mean, if you have the money to spend, then it's one thing. But if you don't, it's tough. I'd like to find something that has a different program that does something a little bit different. You know, that I could pay for a year and not have to be $15 a month. You know, like one-time installment. If I had to pay $15 a month and I could put 4 or 5 cameras on it, then it's one thing. But
I'm
just
not
that
quite
one.
sure, but
For
I think.
each camera, that adds up quick.
Yeah, for sure.
But other than that, their product is great. Their customer service is great. The pictures are phenomenal. You know, even through the cellular part, you can get the app. You can log in. I mean, there's a lot that definitely. I mean, I really like it. It's just it's a little bit on the pocket. You know, so we just use it certain months of the year to kind of get us into the woods. So we had a free trial on it, and we checked it out, and we're gonna keep on chugging with some different products and check it out. You know.
And what about you, Ryan? What cams you use?
I got some old Moultrie cameras I brought years ago.
He's running the Mexican style.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Nothing
they
wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that.
They do take great pictures. I love, being at work and getting my cell phone going off. I look at it and there's some pictures of deer on camera through the cell phone. But I also like, going out and checking those cameras because those deer, you're only got that camera in one spot. Those deer could be skirting right around it, and you don't know it until you go out there and physically check it. You also see other things while you're out there checking your cameras. This morning when I pulled those 2 cameras, I didn't have anything actually on my camera itself, but all around it there was just sign everywhere. You can see the leaves were torn up.
That shit's been
tracks
happening to me all
everywhere,
damn season.
Scat everywhere. So they're not just because you're not getting pictures doesn't mean they're not around there. But if you don't have your feet on the ground looking for them, you're not going to notice that. So
Yeah, that was one of my biggest things. Like you would comment, you would send me messages while I'm at work and be like, "Oh, Trev, you got like three pictures, but your food plot's ate into dirt."
That means you ain't setting it up big enough, right?
Yeah.
When it's gone, you need more, right?
Yeah. Oh, they devoured it. I mean, in a couple of days. I mean that they were already on it and they smashed it out. You know, so. And it was funny because we had those food plots and they chose them Throne Grove food plots over bags of corn. Put out a 50 pound bag of corn and they wouldn't even touch it.
Yep.
It took the raccoons to eat it all
Yeah.
on me.
Yeah,
And waste all my picture data on my.
I'm getting all these notifications at work because Trevor's getting 1,000 pictures of raccoons and 1 or 2 deer, but the raccoons just chowed everything before they even get to it. So
Crazy. But you know what? This is gonna be a shameless plug to help out the Midwest out there. Sniper cams. You ever check them out?
No, I hear, those guys always talking about them and stuff, and they're definitely one to check out. What kind of program do they run here?
Well, I pulled it up on my phone real quick when you guys were talking about your cameras because obviously I'm looking for the best bang for my buck. And, they have something very affordable for wireless cams, especially because the ones that you got, what was the name of them again?
That's the Spy Point Evos is what I'm
Spy Point
running.
Evos. And how much per camera are they?
I don't even know. I think
Like $150 to $180, something like that?
I think I had gotten them on sale. I don't remember. I think they were $160 or something like that. And then
So
but
regularly
I think
you could bank on like $250.
I think they're like $2 to $230. Yeah.
he also has one that's not one of the wireless cameras, and that's an awesome camera.
Oh, that's a
Spy
phenomenal
Point.
camera.
I think that's an
Yeah.
Evo, but it's just not
But
it's just not the wireless
As
one.
far
It's
as the
awesome.
cellular camera, actually, I have I could bring it over. I have a box right here in the right here in the studio.
Well, the reason I was starting to bring up snipers because obviously we all listen to hunting podcasts and we all have our favorites and we all take really good advice from our buddies. And it does seem to be like snipers kind of doing it right now is on top, so to speak, only because their service plan. I mean, that $15 per camera that starts to eat away your pockets. and especially me being Mexican, I gotta be very, very choosy. You know, I mean, I get paid 25 cents to the hour. You know.
So, are you saying that your Spy Point is your Mexican choice?
No, maybe I was thinking maybe Sniper, and I've been seriously looking at that only because.
Sorry, I didn't mean Sniper.
I've been hearing nothing but good things, but I'm sure there's other cameras out there that do just as good a job. But what really gets to me is the quality, the sound, the LCD on it, and then also like it's very affordable. I think their base model is like a couple $100, and the AT&T plan, if you have AT&T, it's like $30, I think, a month or something like that, extra to whatever bill you might have on. So that's, I don't know. That right there, you can load up depending how deep your pockets are, of course. But $15, I mean, I could just buy one and be less than that. Right, but you know,
absolutely. But that's 30. That's 30 for all of your cameras.
Yeah.
So you could have 6 cameras for $30.
That's what I'm seeing here. I mean, don't quote me on it, but I Googled it real quick.
Yeah,
and
that's worth it.
Yeah,
you
because
can pay one bundle package for as many cameras as you want.
Yeah, but let's get real. So like the things that we do, the way that we do it is we have 2, 3, 4 guys that are on one plan for Spy Point. We all put our cameras on there, and we all look at them because we're all on the same
Spy Point?
for Spy Point.
Oh, okay.
So we have a bunch of cameras on there. These were the older ones. So we had the older ones originally, and we went with the Link Evos this year because they're upgraded. The other ones were huge, man. They were fucking huge. They you remember the old you might not remember them. Ryan might though. The time cameras, the old trip time cameras. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
There was no pictures. It just told you when something tripped.
It looked like
When they-
Zach
yeah.
Morris's cell phone.
Yeah,
from Saved by
exactly.
the Bell.
Yeah. I remember my dad bringing us out, and that's what he used to use. Man, he'd be like, "Oh, the deer are coming at 3:30." I'm like, "How the fuck do you know that the deer are coming at 3:30?" They crossed over the tripwire. I'm like, "God,
You know what? I met your dad recently. He kind of does sound like that. You know what I mean? Like he's always got some secret news and shit.
yeah, 37 packs of Marlboro Reds, and you definitely sound like that too."
Shout out to him though. He seemed like a really cool dude. I'm excited to get in the woods with him as well.
Yeah,
That's gonna be good
He'll bring you
times.
up to the petting zoo.
Yo, actually, this is actually a good time to transition to the food plot. So we started touching base a little bit on that, and I want to get back to you know, a newbie coming in or someone that got away from the game and wants to get back in desperately. Let's go back to the food plots and see what you guys do versus what you would do kind of inner city where I'm at.
So my deal is that I've done both from the till and the plot. I've been in on some of those projects with some buddies of mine, and that's definitely, you have to be able to get equipment into the woods to plow, to
But what
turn
kind
over
of
the
equipment
soil.
though?
I mean, you could use a tractor with a harrow, a small harrow, or a York rake. You know, you got to take all the rocks out of plots. I mean, there's a ton that goes into that, and if you don't have access to that equipment, it's not an easy process. I've done.
So what
both.
would you do if you don't have access to that?
So-
Because when you're done with that, I'd like to bounce back to me because I am that man that doesn't have access to equipment. So go ahead, you first.
So without having the equipment, me and Ryan decided that it was a good idea. We were going to try these throw and grow. So we went with some Antler King throw and grow, no till, and we threw it down early season, the beginning of August, and I'll tell you what, the results were phenomenal. We got some really nice green plots. We went into the woods, and we just brought a rake with us, and we just raked up the ground, and you know, just get the leaves off, and threw down the throw and grow. We had some real early rain, humidity, and it seeded everything real well. It was, you know, and it was very minimal work. I mean, you go into the woods with a backpack with the seed in it, and a rake, and we just busted our humps. We raked out some areas, moved some stuff, and went at it. And then there was something that me and him had into conversation from the Whitetails Unlimited dinner. We had gotten a magazine, and these guys had the article about the snow. So in March, they throw down their throw and grow plots in on top of the snow. And when they throw it down in the snow, when the snow melts, then it's water, then it's seeded the food plots, so that when they go to grow, they grow
and the
right
ground
then.
is soft at that point.
Hell
once it's
yeah.
doing the transition into
When
spring.
the When it transitions, yeah. So it was kind of like you also look for frost thieves. You kind of look where there's cracks already in the ground, because once those cracks come back after it freezes, it all comes back, and that seed is in the ground. So you don't have to roll it, you don't have to tamp it in. That seed is planted. And like Trevor said, that snow is melting. You get that water in there. And from the article said that you get about a 70% germination rate on those seeds that you actually throw in there, which is incredible considering you're throwing it down with those cold temperatures.
And what do those seeds consist of, though, as far as food goes?
It depends on what you're buying. It could be anything from beets to clover to some winter rye.
In the throne grow.
The throne grow.
It depends on the quality you buy, right?
The throne grow's got just about everything from clover right now. So all like I believe it was a wheat or a rye that was growing up, and it was just some nice, beautiful green grass. And now all that's died off, and now the clover is coming through. So it's got different seeds in it that'll germinate and grow at different times of the year depending on what that seed is. So it's been good. I mean, we get deer, we get turkeys, we get everything that comes right into there, and it loves it. So
yeah, it's a great thing, and it's simple, it's easy. I mean, you go over to Tractor Supply and you can get a throne grill antler king for like $20-$25, and you just bring a rake and rake up the ground and it grows. It's weird, you know. It's fucking weird.
Hence throne grow, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like putting down grass, you know.
Of course,
I mean, it's simple.
you want to find an area that's got a little bit of an opening, you know, that there's no underbrush,
some sun,
no saplings, there's a little bit of sun, and you rake up those leaves, and you got that nice dark, rich soil that's already wet and moist, and you throw that throne grow down, and it's gonna grow. It will.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely insane the way that works.
Well, I'm glad that you guys brought that up, actually, because that's exactly what I use. But I actually modify the throne grow, and I actually go to the garden centers and pick up either beet seeds and stuff like that, and then I make like layers, and I do small food plots because I'm not bringing in a lot at a time, but I do go in at separate times, and that's what I do is I hop on my quad, I bring the rake, and
he's got a quad.
And the Mexican has a quad.
You don't know if I still
does that have a VIN number on it?
Shh, I don't have the title, man. It stays in my garage, and But anyways, I may bring a hoe or two with me.
A hoe or two.
This Mexican's pimping, so I got my hoe, my rake. And then, of course, the throwdown seed, whatever it may be. Like you mentioned radish. I never used that before, but I definitely use beets. For some reason,
it's a late
beat it up.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Boom.
So one of the things that we wanted to try was making actual like physical planting, like turnips and stuff for later in the season. Because that's a huge thing. Like
that's a good fall plot.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah.
I want it personally at my house. I got some deer around. I got a little bit of land. Personally, I want to do some pumpkins this year because over the years we've hunted certain areas that have pumpkin fields, and deer they just smash them with their hooves and they just eat them up. They love them.
And the seeds, they like the seeds.
Right, and it's a later season thing. Once that snow comes, they're digging around the grass.
Don't
like all these
jack-o'-lanterns.
But back to what I was saying before I forget, because my memory's shot for everyone knows why. But going smaller food plots that's close off trail to their sign. I always do beets at first, and then believe it or not, chives. For some reason, they're hot on the chives up here in Connecticut.
Really?
So I do beets, chives, then I do the throne grow, and where I usually aim that is close to either river runs or swamps. So this way, even if it doesn't rain, then it's still gonna get a water source from those edges. But the hardest point is you got to stay far away enough on a good rain that's not gonna flood out your plot. But that's also a little snippet of what you can do just in case you get those dry seasons. You can prevent that from happening from natural river runs or just keep it close.
You could also pump it out of the river up if you wanted to, irrigate it.
Yeah, I'm not that advanced, man. That's for that's for the person that lives. I mean, we all live it, but that's for the person that has the money to just do that and that only.
Yeah.
I mean, we ain't famous yet. We have maybe 4 or 5 listeners now. So after the first episode, people were kind
three
enough.
Of them are us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we picked up one last week.
No,
Well,
I've got a little generator outside Trevor's house here. We get a sub pump. We run it up we got it.
Yeah.
Stop pumping the generator. We got it.
You're a mechanic. Just steal a car battery, and we'll run a wire to a pump. You got an extra water pump or something, right?
Just for the record, we do not promote stealing. We're just joking around, everyone.
Hey,
So
D-Rock, so you live around houses, you hunt around houses and stuff. One thing I've always joked with Trevor about is get a little couple of arborvitaes. You can put them out in the woods in front of your stand. They use those. They like the sweet arborvitaes.
They love the
Trevor and I
arbs.
always joke about that. I'm a
Yeah.
former landscaper. I know deer love arborvitaes, and I always
The
joke
man that
about
wears
that.
many hats.
I'm not wearing a hat
Yeah,
right now, but I do.
for the record, he just quit his last occupation from the last name that he just had. So he's strictly cable guy. He left his part-time job for the record. He met a sweet, lovely. He wants to make things right and do right by her. So we all encourage that. Because I know I got one at home, and if I don't shout her out, Sandra Silver, she might get mad at me. She wants me to come home real quick. I'm joking. She's not like that. She's a sweetheart. She's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Does she listen to this?
Oh yeah. She always ridicules me how much of a jackass I sound, but everyone already knows that, so she ain't telling me nothing I don't know. And Trev, he's tied down too. It's like we all work hard to do what we love to do, and that's getting in the woods. As Ryan, I bring this up. You say getting feet on the ground and miles on the ground, and you say that, you reiterate it, but it's true though. That's the only time you're gonna learn from the woods, learn from your piece of woods that you're on all the time, and then learn exactly what the deer are doing. That I can't stress enough, because I do have one buddy that I highly, highly believe in. He's gonna strike gold with a big buck this year. I think everyone out there knows Stevie Mo. You're going to do it this year, man. I believe in you. I'm telling you, right, Trev?
Absolutely, I agree.
He's earned it, and Ryan reiterated, can't even speak, but I'm talking
Reiterate.
Yeah, reiterate. See, the English doesn't come so easy, man. But Stevie Mo, he's definitely going to do it, because now he has all the time in the world. He's not tied down. He can get feet on the ground. But I don't want to stay on this subject too much. It's just for the newbies out there. You got to get out there. And that's why he keeps on saying feet on the ground.
I just want to butt in for 1 second on that there, D-Rock. When I talk about feet on the ground, of course, I do so much with mapping as well. But to look at that map on your phone, your tablet, a hard map, and then to actually visually stand in that spot, physically stand in that spot and visually look around, and then you can have that map in your hand, and you can mark out actually where you are in those maps that you're going to refer to later and get a visual of what you are. So I just want to put that in there. D-Rock, what do we got next?
Well, just before that, Stevie Mo's going to hit up the Tinder. So with him getting feet on the ground, he's going to start looking sharp. All right, enough of him. Yeah. But, so what I think we should get into next from food plots, I want to say descenting. And what I mean by that is all the way down to your body hair. From your equipment you're using to the clothes and other things you're going to bring out with you. And then as well as your body hair. A lot of women don't have to worry about that unless they have really crazy long hair. But men, I hate to say it, ladies, men probably know a little more than you about this, because we are hairy MFers. And one thing that this motherfucker got to do, especially with this poofy hairstyle, is be an expert in descenting. I'm definitely partial to Scent Crusher. Shameless plug. But their products out there, it works. Even some of the stuff like the shampoo that they have and spray, it smells like ozone.
Right.
Like you get out of there, you smell so good. Not only do the
Even
deer
just-
not smell you, your old lady's like, wow, when'd you get so clean? And then you might even get lucky. So, I mean, I highly recommend it. Even if you're single and you don't hunt, get out there, get some Scent Crusher. You might even get lucky here and there.
If you're Stevie Mo going on Tinder, get some ozone.
Right on to that. But I actually go as far as getting the body soap, shampoo, and I definitely only use that. And I actually switched to non-odor deodorant as well, or antiperspirant. I don't necessarily go for the hunting type or whatever. Just the non-scented is well enough, because you're not gonna sweat anyway. So that in combination with whatever else you're using, I'm sure is okay. Ryan, how you go about after that? I mean, obviously everyone knows shampoo, soap, antiperspirant. What else do you use to descent?
So personally for me, I mean, especially opening day, I know, of course, during rut, you wanna be on your game. But opening day to me is this is your first chance to get some meat in the freezer. So what I do, I go all out I can on scent. I wash my stuff. I would say about 3 weeks before the season. I'll wash all my gear.
And where do you store it though?
I store it, so I'm gonna hang. I hang dry it. I wash it in some. I use dead downwind, honestly. I wash it in dead downwind detergent, and then I hang it out in a line out in my field for 2-3 weeks. Let it get rained on, dust, dirt, whatever.
So it smells like nature.
It smells like nature, and then from there, I mean, just about anywhere I hunt personally, there's some hemlock trees. There's other scents going on. I have hemlock trees, luckily, in my yard. I'll break off a couple branches when I take them off of the line from being out there 2-3 weeks and nice and aired out. I'll put some hemlock branches in my I got a nice tote. I just recently upgraded to a real nice one. I purchased at Home Depot, $10, made by Husky, and it seals so nice. It's got good sturdy latches on it. The top makes a good thing to stand on when you're getting dressed in the parking lot, on the side of the road, wherever you're gonna be. You can stand on to keep your feet dry. But I stuff it right in there with a few hemlock branches, maybe some leaves, a little dirt, 'cause you want to get that earthy scent. I've even remember hearing of old timers that'll hang their clothes over fires, let them smoke out, because deer, no matter where you are, smoke travels for miles. They know what smoke smells like, so it's not unnatural to them. So I
want to stop you right there real quick though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like always, Ryan's ready, man. I'm telling
yeah,
you, he's
fire.
He's
fire.
He's on fire.
No, but seriously, I mean, you're always on the roll. Like, you could tell that you're very passionate about getting in the woods and deer hunting, especially. Like, I could already tell you're pumped for the season. I just want to take a little break right now from everything we're learning, because we're learning so much. Let's BS for a hot second, only because we're so pumped for season start that it's crazy. Well, we got a time check, Trev? What do you got there?
No, I don't think this fucking thing's recorded.
Okay, we're back. We had slight technical difficulties. We just wanted to make sure that we were still recording. Nothing wrong with stopping there. I hope everyone understands. Well, we're really new at this podcast and learning our equipment as we go. And we're trying to get the content out there, but we're trying to really fine-tune everything. And I think we have our groove. We just need to fine-tune everything else and keep up with the groove that we're on, basically, so to speak. What do you say, Trev?
I totally agree. It's a stressful thing. This is not an easy thing. I mean, I give it to all these people that are out there doing this, because this is stressful days.
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Get me all thinking about shit, you know?
Right. So yeah, let's transition back to the what we were talking about earlier with descenting, and then quickly get into the backpack, what we would pack in our pack. Trev, what do you got to say about descenting?
No, descenting is definitely a huge thing. I do a lot of descenting just like Ryan does. Washing your clothes, washing your backpack, washing your safety harness, all those things with descenting detergent. And
the field spray too, right?
Yeah, the field spray is a huge thing. I mean, I'm on the pro staff for Heated Hunts, and they use a dirt cover scent actually. So I'm real excited to use that, because I use a dirt detergent for all my clothes. So,
staying all natural.
Yeah,
the hippie feel.
Yeah, stack some dirt and some leaves up inside that the tote where I keep all my clothes. So that's definitely a huge thing. How do you descent?
Like I said earlier, I'm all about Scent Crusher, and definitely using their hair product and body soap. And
that's a huge thing.
Yeah, everything I could get my hands on, really. I mean, just to smell like ozone, it gives me... It doesn't... Now, I don't want all the newbies out there to get the wrong impression. I mean, what this does specifically is lets you start fresh from a zero scent. So from what you do from there is very specific on the type of deer you're actually hunting. I mean, if you're hunting, obviously, in oak trees or pine trees, you want to smell somewhat of that. And then not only that, you just want to take the zero start, and it just gives you a better chance. It doesn't guarantee you that you're going to get the buck of your lifetime. It just gives you better odds to what you're striving to do. You know what I mean, Trev?
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree.
So from that being said, I think it's a good time to get off the scent trail, so to speak, and dive into the backpack. Earlier we did the 5 things that we would bring in our pack if we were down to 5. But I'll start us off. What I usually like to pack in my backpack is some kind of fire starter like magnesium with flint, and just to get down to the nitty gritty and start with the basics.
Absolutely.
You know, that, a bottle of water, an empty piss bottle, so this way I don't leave my set anywhere still. I know some of my boys out Midwest, they've gone as far, hey, when you got to go, you got to go. And they actually had to do, you know, the biz outside their stand. That's crazy to me. But, hey, like I said, if you got to do it, you can't stop nature.
Yeah, that's a cover scent in itself, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But another thing that I bring is obviously some kind of snack, preferably deer jerky. That's just me. And I wrap it loose in a paper towel, only because I strongly believe in staying quiet like a ninja, senor. And I just definitely try to stay as quiet as I can. So I wrap it in paper towel so it doesn't crinkle like a bag. I also bring my haul line with climbing clips. This way I can use it for multi-use, whether it be tying my stand together, top and bottom, hauling up my weapon.
Dragging a deer.
Exactly. See, you're reading my mind.
Yeah,
You
that's
get
multiple uses.
get a strong live branch to cross the antlers, and then wrap up the rope around the neck and underneath the antlers, and you're good to go.
That's definitely a huge thing.
Heck yeah.
That's definitely something I carry also.
I also bring a for the desperate times. I bring a one of those chainsaws, the manual chainsaws that you hold with your fingers and go back and forth like what you see in Last of the Alaskans or some type shit. But you know what? For desperate times, that works for the smaller branches, and you can stay nice and quiet with it.
Yeah. No, I do the same. I carry a small little collapsible handsaw, and that goes miles. It really does.
Heck yeah. And one of the most underestimated things to put in your pack that a lot of people may not do it, especially in Connecticut because we're such a small state, small timber, is a compass.
Oh, compass is definitely one of those things it's definitely the top 5 things I would definitely have in my backpack.
Like we said earlier. And as well as a poncho. You know what I mean? You need something to protect yourself with.
The poncho.
Yeah. Worst case scenario. What else do you bring?
I'm definitely all about that thermocell. Thermocell has definitely changed the long sits in the early season with all the flies and the mosquitoes and stuff like that. The gnats.
Yeah.
I mean that's a game changer right there. I mean being in that stand a lot longer and keeping them bugs away, that's definitely a huge thing. A couple other things I probably bring. Flashlight. I don't know if we touched on that, but flashlight is definitely key.
Yeah, we're in the top 5. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a must for sure.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm surprised that you and Ryan haven't brought up is actually one of the most important things you always have to remember to bring. What's that, Trev? First aid. First aid kit.
First aid kit.
Hell yeah.
I always forget about that. Yeah, you definitely have to have something.
Well, we're not all
bandage.
savage like you, so
Yeah.
I mean,
just
some
rub
of us
some
need to bring
dirt in
the
it,
first-
wrap it with a string, and fucking send it on its way.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, my luck would probably have to get cut off or something.
Nah. We don't want to think down that road.
Right.
But yeah, first aid kit, and I mean, not everyone agrees with this, but I'm such a freak when it comes to being prepared that sometimes a fishing line with a fishing hook, just in case.
Yeah.
You have to clean something out real quick and close it. Like, you never know.
Yeah,
you never know. You have to be full outdoors, man.
No, I mean like that story that I shared with them falling out of the tree stand. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's sick.
That's a crazy thing with this tree fence.
My
so,
idol.
I mean, if you had to get in there and do that, oh, you'll meet him. He's a savage. He's an absolute savage.
For sure. One thing that I brought up in another podcast not too long ago is the one thing I usually have that most people don't, and going in to your stand or to your tree if you have a climber with you, is I bring my thermal cam, and all that does, and they have thermal binoculars, so this way you could kind of not bump deer and know exactly where maybe some deer just laid their steps on.
How does a Mexican get a thermal cam?
Bro, let me tell you how. All these people, I'm light-skinned Mexican, so all these people think I'm either Italian or Puerto Rican. So either way, I'm more American than a Mexican. And then on top of that, my line of work, I like I said, I'm a grunt in the trenches. I fix cars all day long. I have access to part of my equipment. My arsenal is a thermal cam for work. I don't know what the hell.
Oh yeah,
I'm just
I didn't
saying.
think of that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I
don't
know.
even-
I know. I wouldn't be able to. Yeah. That,
Yo,
oh, wow.
Snap-on came to my shop, and I don't even know why a mechanic would need a thermal cam, but I saw that shit. I'm like, oh, that'd be great for hunting, and you know what I mean? Hunting is on my mind 24/7, and
Yeah,
if I'm not on the grind, I'm in the woods, and first thing that came to mind, that'd be perfect for hunting. This way, you walk in, reads up to 100 yards, and this way you don't bump deer. And you could be absolute ninja, and that's what it's about. But that's one of the only other things that I put in my pack that might be underrated. I know a lot of people with the rolling hills out Midwest bring one of them, especially hog hunting. You know, it definitely is a big helper.
That's huge.
Heck yeah.
That definitely that's a game changer. Also, I mean, as far as like, you know, if you're getting up on, you know, them bed grounds and or they move or they're not being in the right spot, I mean, you can definitely tell where they are. Or even if you know they got bumped and they're on the move or whatever the case may be, and you're trying to get there, I mean, you definitely know what's going on if they're coming off the feed early or whatever. That's a huge thing. Wow, didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to have in the backpack.
Yeah, it's just one of those extra things that squeezes in. Doesn't take up too much space.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But something to think about it. So I think at the end of the episode we should end on something progressive and looking forward to the preseason. And what do you think, Trev? What's the outlook for season 2018?
No, you know, and the whole thing is that, you know, the next time that you'll be hearing from us is definitely going to be after we've gotten in the woods and done some hunting. So I'm overly excited, and I can't wait to get out in the woods and try out these new properties and these food plots and all these, you know, all these pre-game preparation things that we've done between, you know, getting pictures and the food plots, the throw and grows, getting the stands in. You know, I'm real excited. I think 2018 is going to be the season. I mean, it's making up for probably one of the better seasons that I've had so far, and I hope that lives it out. I mean, we'll know next week. I mean, one of us is going to have a deer on the ground.
For sure. For sure.
There's going to be meat in the freezer come Monday.
That's what I'm talking about. Fresh meat.
Saturday. We open the 15th, so I'm excited.
Heck yeah. I'll be meeting up with you guys in deer camp right after my date. Date night.
Yeah.
I know it's a curse. You got to please too many people.
Yeah. But you got to do what you got to do, man. That's part of this whole thing, you know.
It is.
Commitment. I mean,
choose your sacrifices.
Yeah.
don't let it interfere with your life though.
But make sure that you get in that deer stand.
Because without a good life, then you can't be in the woods. So remember that. It's a balance. It's a balance.
Definitely a balance.
So on that note, I mean, Ryan, Trevor, you know, we're doing it. We out here. CT's out here. So if you ever doubted CT, we're here to prove you wrong. And on that note, stay stepping, stay slaying.